Piotrowski, good morning. Over at CommSec, we had a bumper day on Friday. Does that carry on to today?
Well, Pete, it's an important outcome that you talk about in terms of Friday's session on Wall Street because of the release of the preferred measure of the US Federal Reserve's inflation outcome coming in line with the market's expectations. This is tied to what US workers earned and spent over the course of the last month. So that means that there is still one and a bit rate cuts priced into the market between now and the end of the year. Had that been a higher number, then that would have been perhaps in peril. But nonetheless, the Dow Jones on Friday up 1.5%. The S&P 500 rose 0.8%. The Nasdaq was flat, just dipping ever so slightly into negative territory. But the important point to make, Pete, is that for the month of May, notwithstanding the wringing of hands and gnashing of teeth over the inflation picture, you've still seen the best May since 2003 for the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq. In those indices up by almost 5% in the case of the S&P 500, 4.8% and 6.9% in the context of the Nasdaq. So it's a question of whether or not that momentum can be maintained. The futures are telling us in local terms that we'll kick off with a gain of 0.5%. We're heading into a big week in terms of outcomes, both locally and at home, locally and further afield. We've got interest rate decisions from the European Central Bank and the Bank of Canada. We've got job numbers out of the US. And then on Wednesday, we've got national accounts figures. So all of that will keep us entertained over the course of coming days. We've seen the oil price slip by 1% at the weekend. In the last day, we've heard from OPEC and allied producers who are going to maintain production cuts this year, Pete, and they're saying that they will loosen up that situation as far as next year is concerned. Probably unlikely to have a dramatic impact on near-term oil prices. And the Aussie dollar is trading at 66.5 US cents, so it's firmed up a little bit since Friday afternoon.